Cameron Slater's made it quite clear that it had nothing to do with the National
So
Party.
you think Cameron Slater's credibility is high? You believe him over Nicky Hager?
Well, he did it.
But why should we believe Cameron Slater over Nicky Hager?
Because Nicky Hager's got nothing to prove it.
Well, he's got a bunch of emails.
No, well, I mean, he's making stuff up.
So the emails, so hold on, the emails are made up.
Well, Mr. Slay makes it quite clear in the way that he accessed that information, why he did that. He's made it quite clear it's got nothing to do with the National Party.
Can I just read you a quote from the book here, apparently from Jason Eade, saying they're chasing us by matching IP neighbourhoods. Jason Eade says, in my case, I wish to offer a hearty sigh of relief and celebrate dynamic IP addresses.
Well, that's, again...
Are you saying that's false?
No, look, I don't have any information on that, but what I know is, I know for a simple fact that all of that stuff that was run around the Labour Party was done by Cameron Slater and it wasn't from the National Party. If Jason Lee went and had a look at it out of curiosity, fair enough, but it's got nothing to do with the National Party.
That's a pretty damning allegation, though. Shouldn't
you
go and have a look at it, though?
Well, there's nothing for me to go and look at. I've asked my office and that's the assurance I've been given.
So your inquiry is called Cameron Slater?
Well, I've asked my office and that's the assurance I've been given and that'll be correct. And Mr. Slater's got nothing to hide.
You'd be happy for police and the...
Totally. I mean, look, we have absolutely no issues. I mean, the dirty politics and all of this is from the left.
Have you no involvement with the Prime Minister?
No, but no involvement in any of this stuff. So, look, the dirty politics is from the left. This is the situation where they've gone out there and tried to release a book with no time for people to critique it. They're the people that have gone out there basically with all sorts of videos. They're the people that have gone out there in the course of time with a whole lot of other things from the realities out. Why are they doing that? Because they don't want to debate issues that actually matter. They don't want to talk about health funding, the economy and law and order and education. All of this is out there as a conspiracy theory from the left to try and damage my credibility, the credibility of the National Party, and to try and hurt our chances in the election. And New Zealanders will see through that.
If this is all a conspiracy theory, then this up, lied, these quotes are false.
No, what Nicky Hager has done is joined a whole lot of dots that can't be connected. And that's very consistent with what Nicky Hager does. If you go and look at his previous other books, he makes wild allegations. Go and ask Helen Clark whether the allegations he made in the Corngate Seeds of Trust were right. And the answer is no.
Look, even if 5 to 10% of it is true, that's damning.
No, it's not. We live in a modern world. We've never argued that some of our people don't talk to bloggers. We talk to TV3 News. We do that all the time. We live in a modern world where you ask me questions that come off blog sites. But in the end, these blog sites run their own deal. They do their own stuff, just like the Standard does on the left of politics.
But your office don't feed us sufficient information at request, the exact words.
We haven't done that either.
Are you satisfied that Judith Collins didn't leak Bronwyn Fuller's name?
Well, that's the assurance that she's given me, and I accept her as a word.
Do you feel you need to go back and check that now, given what's in the book?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, there are specific quotes here in email exchanges where days before her name was leaked, Whale Order is talking about Bronwyn Fuller, saying that he got it from Judith Collins, saying Judith is not
There's
a liar.
always lots of gossip and innuendo and all those sorts of things. And I suspect if we went through all of the emails that you send and all of the things that happen, we live in a world that's pretty fluid in terms of information. But if that's what the Minister said, that's what she has said, I accept her as a
Shouldn't
word.
you go and have a look at it, though? It's
I
a
don't
pretty
need
serious
to.
allegation.
This is Nicky Hager, who's a left-wing conspiracy theorist, who releases a book an hour before the news so no one can critique it. This is a guy with a proven track record to make up lots of theories and get them wrong. And this is a guy that's done something on the Wednesday, which on Monday and Tuesday and prior to that, there's been a series of things from the left that have been out there to try and throw things and damage my credibility because the left don't want to discuss the issues that matter. I think most New Zealanders are going to say that's what the game is here. They can't beat National on policy and on economic performance, so it's throw some muck and see if it works.
So do you stand by Jason Eade?
Yeah, Jason Eade works for the National Party now. I mean, there's again quite a number of facts in the book that he's got wrong. Jason Eade hasn't been a press secretary for 6 years. He's not 2 doors down from my office.
You
stand by his actions?
Yeah.
How many doors down is it?
7, I think, but he's on the 9th floor.
But
well, he was. He's not now.
Was he taxpayer funded at some point?
At some point, he would have been. Yeah.
Is it appropriate for a taxpayer funded public servant to be dirt digging?
Well, I don't believe he is. He deals with all sorts of issues and all sorts of claims that are made. And you guys come to us all the time with stories that are on blog sites. that's the nature of the beast. I mean, that particular effigy burning incident, I hadn't actually seen it, but it was on a blog site. So it's quite part of the modern media. I can't divorce myself from that. So obviously, just in the same way that you read the blogs and other New Zealanders read, it's part of the modern media. But the National Party is doing everything, in my opinion, above board. It's totally fine. Nothing different to what any other political party would do. Mr. Hager's making some claims. He can't back them up, and they're not factually correct.
Not using blog sites as attack vehicles?
No, more than anyone else would do.
What about the sort of language that's used in there and national, thereby being associated with it? Cameron Slater calling, Christchurch voters Labour scum when the earthquake hits. That's pretty offensive stuff.
But Cameron Slater runs his own ship. He runs his own website, his own company, or however he's structured. He's nothing to do with the National Party.
But you're in regular contact with him. You've photographed with him. I mean, you've told us about it.
Yeah, and so what happens? I've probably spoken to him 2 or 3 months, maybe. Text him very occasionally if he's had a particular thing that I haven't understood it and want to understand the story. I mean, it's very infrequent, but he spends half his time attacking the National Party. You should go and see what he says about the National Party president. You should see what he says about Stephen Joyce. Half the time you should see what they say about me. I mean, he's a shock jock kind of blog site. And that's the way it is, and that's why a certain percentage of the public are interested in that sort of stuff, and they go to it. And there's plenty of them on the left as well. That's the nature of the brand.
Will you keep contacting him?
Well, I hardly ever contact the guy anyway, but I'll keep reading Whale Oil from time to time, just like I read lots of blog sites.
But will you keep calling him now?
Well,
will you keep making contact?
Will I call him 4 times a year? Well, maybe or maybe not.
When was the last time you had contact with him?
3 or 4 months ago, probably.
Are you going to be in contact with him about these revelations?
No, because there's nothing to get in contact with him about. I mean, in the end, there's a bunch of baseless allegations. If people don't like it, well, the Greens or others, they should go and file a complaint, just like I understand from the media reports he's thinking about doing. But I think it's really important to understand it's nothing to do with us, nothing to do with my office.
The book paints a very close relationship between Judith Collins and Cameron Slater, and they have this thing called the double attack, where if someone attacks them, they attack them back twice as hard. Is that concerning, that kind of relationship and language?
Well, like I said, he's a bit of a shock jock. So I'm sure they do have a robust conversation, and probably if I looked at your emails to Patrick Gower, they might be pretty rough too.
Nowhere near as rough as that.
Well, I don't condone everything the guy does, and I certainly don't condone the language he uses. And half the time I ignore a lot of what I see, and I don't read all the things, but I have to read a certain number of them, just like I have to read the Standard and others, because in the end, you guys ask me those questions. If you want to have a pact with me that you're never going to ask me a question on a blog site ever again, I'll happily never read one again, because half the time they waste my time. But in the modern integrated world that we live in, you do. But let's be under no illusions. The left cannot and will not win the policy debate. And so this is all about Nicky Hager being part of the left, throwing out mud, joining dots that can't be joined, and making accusations. And it follows a week of videos and destruction of billboards, and it's all part of a personal attack aimed from the left. And I think New Zealanders will understand that.
You must be quite concerned though about Collins though, because some of the things that she's talking to and feeding to Whale are quite serious. Like talk about, swapping one of Slater's mates, moving them in different prisons and things like that.
Well, I haven't seen those comments, so I can't comment on that.
But shouldn't you look into that? That's a pretty damning allegation.
Oh, well, that's what it is.
So when she was Minister of Corrections, she said, he said, can you move one of my mates to a different prison? And that essentially happened. You must be concerned about that.
Well, I'll get some advice on that, I haven't seen it.
Was there an effort from within the National Party to roll Rodney Hyde out of the Act?
No, definitely not. We like Rodney.
Did you know what was in the book PM before it was released?
What do you make of the allegations that they had some sort of salacious text and Whale Oil was alluding to that on the website, trying to
Don't know
Rodney out?
anything about that.
Is that serious?
Well, again, you're talking about a guy who's a bit of a shock jock, who has amazing theories on all sorts of things and puts stuff up on his website I've never heard about. But like I know, he's a pretty colourful character. He's not the National Party, and like our guys talk to him and talk to other bloggers as part of the modern world.
So just to get clear, are you going to go and look at Judith Collins' conduct around the movement of a prisoner?
Let's wait and see.
What do you mean wait and see?
I'll see whether I think it's a big deal or not. I haven't read the book.
It sounds like it's a big deal. She's essentially abusing her ministerial powers.
Let's see.
Anything else, guys?
Let's see seems a bit of a cavalier attitude though, doesn't it?
No, because I want to see the context of all of those things, and all I know is Nicky Hager's a left-wing conspiracy theorist who makes stuff up.
So you'll be reading the book?
Maybe at some time, but probably after the election. I'm a bit busy at the moment with the issues that actually matter to New Zealanders.
I mean, you say that Jason Eade is not mudraking, but this is mudraking. Surely he's essentially feeding stuff, and these emails show it. He's feeding stuff to whale oil.
Well, I'm sure there are discussions between him and other blogsters, just as there are discussions with you, the media.
So can I just get clear? Do you
affect National's chances in the election?
No, I think New Zealanders will see what it is, which is it's dirty politics, right? But it's from the left.
You must be a bit worried about it, though, Prime Minister.
No.
What evidence do you have that the left engages in what's being alleged here in terms of National, I suppose?
Well, we're Thursday, and I've just listed the things we've got, isn't it? I mean, in the end, it's the left that put up, videos of chanting of young New Zealanders. It's the left that put up, a video of effigies being burned.
But in terms of relationships and connections to senior Labour Party members, senior Labour Party's officials, do you have any proof of anything along those lines?
Well, I'm just saying Nicky Hager's part of the left, and he's making a bunch of baseless accusations and theories which aren't right. I mean, they're factually incorrect. He's saying the National Party's been involved in the situation with the Labour site. That's not true. In the end, if Jason Eade's gone and had a look at it out of curiosity because whale oil did something about it, well, fair enough, but it doesn't make the National Party involved in it. In the end, it's not true that we've had involvement around the SAS. It was all part of, and again, something clarified by Jason Eade. These are just wild accusations the guy makes and can never back them up.
So just to get clear, you unequivocally stand by Jason Eade?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think Kim.com was behind this at all?
I don't know. I don't have any.
Are you concerned that this was hacked information?
Well, the claim seems to be that it was hacked, but I don't know how, by who, or where.
So, I mean, the allegation here is that you've got essentially political cancer in your office.
Well, that's just not true. That's an allegation by the left.
Yeah, I'm saying that's the allegation in the book.
Yeah, it's the allegation by the left, and that's a very convenient thing for the left to want to talk about when they don't want to talk about policy.
But you're not going to go and investigate the alleged tumour at all, or...?
No, because I think people will see for what it is. It's Nicky Hager, a guy that writes books that are opposed to the right, a massive conspiracy theorist who's got a history of joining dots that can't be joined.
Shouldn't you take legal action then if this is all false?
Well, why would I bother? I mean, in the end, very few comments as I can see are about me, other than as pejorative comments about me, and they'd never stand up to, a legal case because, I'm not the sort of guy that's going to wander off to court and what's it going to do. Very little of the book is about me, as I understand. I haven't read it, but that's
one thing that is about you. Slater quotes you as saying, when talking about Joe Hall, whose son was killed at Pike River and another son killed in a car crash, that that statement is utterly incorrect. It's not from me, and Nicky Hager himself says in the book, as I understand it, that it's not my kind of language. It's utterly incorrect.
Would it be a sackable offence if Judith Collins was leaking information about Bronwyn Puller?
Well, I'd have to, she's made statements that she hasn't. No one has proved that she has, and she's given me an assurance that she hasn't.
But you had your doubts at one point about that, didn't you? Because you had to ask her repeatedly.
No, I followed up because you, the media, asked me those questions. I have a responsibility to do that.
Is email evidence, though, a sign that you should go and have emails can be doctored?
Well, again, I can look at the whole context of things, but I just base it on the fact that he makes lots of assumptions. Those assumptions, I think, are ones from left-wing conspiracy theorists.
So you don't think email evidence is damning?
Again, you'd have to see everything that's done. It's one side of one bit. Just go and ask yourself the question, if the book was so sturdy and stacked up so well, would you release it at 5 o'clock before the 6 o'clock news?
I think he was wanting to avoid an injunction.
No, injunction is, if he wanted to avoid an injunction, he could have done it and released the book at 10 o'clock in the morning. That was the reason he kept it secret. He could have done exactly the same thing at 10 o'clock in the morning and given everybody a chance to respond on the 6 o'clock news. But what he wanted to do was make sure that the 6 o'clock newsers ran a story uncontested. That's because he's a left-wing conspiracy theorist that doesn't want the facts.
You called him a left-wing conspiracy theorist before you'd even read the book or even seen the book.
I've read his other books, and they're all left-wing conspiracy theories that don't stack up. Go and ask Helen Clark what she thinks about Seeds of Trust. Go and have a look at a number of the books he's written. They all join lots of dots, and they're not right. The guy has a perspective. He's got a particular worldview. fair enough. But that's his worldview, and it's not right.
You'd be all right with the police having a look, the Inspector General of Intelligence and Security, you'd be all right with them having a look?
They can feel free to do whatever they like.
And Greens are calling for a Royal
They
Commission.
should go for it 100%.
Last question, guys. We have to go.
Has the shine worn off brand key from this?
No.
Just one quick question.
That's the aim, though. That you're absolutely right. So the aim is to throw dirt from the left and try and do that, because they can't win the policy debate. So the aim is to try and discredit my office and me through things that can't and don't stack up.
Have you spoken to Jason Eade since the book came out?
I haven't, no.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.